Hi all, I'm Trisha Peach, host of the Peach Buzz, and I've had a really good week. Thank you to everyone that has bought a copy of my published doctoral thesis, all about why pastors leave ministry and what might make them stay. I was very surprised that this one outsold some of my other books, and I think that speaks to a lot of places caring about their pastors. I think that's fantastic. Just make sure you know it's a doctoral thesis, so it's not like my usual writings. It's a doctoral thesis, so it's a heavy read. If you want to skip to the good parts where I talk about what we can do to change the problem, I won't blame you. All right, today I have kind of a heavy topic. This may be controversial. I'm going to talk about why that's so important what our kids do immediately after high school graduation. This is not going to be an anti-college talk. And I want to just say, hear me out on this. I am definitely not anti-education. Obviously, I have a doctorate. My husband has his degree. My dad has a master's. My mom went to business school. So I'm not anti-education, but there are a lot of different types of education. And I want to talk about this for a minute, why this may be the most important decision for your child who, technically not a child at that point, 18, but why they still need your help in making that decision. So first off, I want to talk about why this is so massively important, this decision. And if you're saying, well, I don't have to worry about that for a while, my child is only 13, 14, 15, yes, you should be thinking about it. A senior in high school, that is so last minute. They should be making their decision much earlier than that. So what's at stake here? Okay, well, you probably noticed that we have record numbers of our Christian kids that go to college and drop their faith. And I think we like to make easy excuses like, well, it's all the parents' fault. If they'd raised them better, that wouldn't have happened. Oh, it's all the church's fault. It's the youth pastor's fault. That's the one that usually gets blamed. I want to back up from that a little bit. And I'm going to tell you why I'm not into just all the blame and finger pointing. But we do have a massive crisis in that so many of our kids are walking away. 4 out of 5 Christian kids at 18 will walk away and never come back. And that is awful. That should break your heart. If you're watching this channel, you're probably in ministry of some kind, a kids ministry person. That should break your heart. And I believe that what happens right after college graduation is so crucial. I cannot overemphasize it. All right. That's a big reason. A lot of them end up falling away as soon as they leave for college. 2, a lot of them make very bad mistakes in college. And I've seen parents shrug their shoulders and say, oh, well, they make mistakes in college. They experiment a little bit, but they'll get out of their system. Some mistakes haunt you for life. I'm going to get to some of that here in a minute too, but I don't think we can just shrug our shoulders and say, well, they're going to go wild and make a whole bunch of mistakes, and oh well, some mistakes will be with you for the rest of your life. Okay, an STD, a child born out of wedlock, there are a criminal record. Some of these things follow you, an addiction, for the rest of your life. Thirdly, a lot of people have said that they figured out what they wanted to do with the rest of their life when they were in college. That gave them their direction, yes, this is what I'm going to do with my life. This is where I'm supposed to go. That came in college. Okay. 4, some of my best friends I made in college. Now, I made some of my best friends also before that and after that, but you make such great friends in college. My husband and I are still friends with a lot of the people we made in college. 5, you make some of the connections there that will help you, probably propel you in your chosen career for the rest of your life. Those professors that you connect with, the the connections with your peers end up being in the different fields. I'm telling you, a lot of times it's who you know and not what you know, and you make those connections in college. That's so important. Another reason it is incredibly important what college you pick and if you choose a college, because students right now are amassing more student debt than any other point in history. We adults have got to stop making assumptions. I hear all the time, well, I made it through college debt free, so they can too. Just hold on here a second before we get all judgy. I did as well in my undergrad, but I had it through scholarships. My dad, he graduated college debt free, but he worked full time and went to school full time, and he'd be the first to tell you he didn't manage to hold on to straight A's when working full time and going to school full time. However, back then his private college was $14,000 a year. Okay, a year. So him working full time, he was able to put all of that towards school and graduate debt free. My son, my boy, $46,000 a year, and that's average. Every private school around where we live here in Wisconsin was about $46,000. Don't believe me? Go look it up. $46,000. Now the public colleges near here, UW, those were better at 28 grand or so, but it's shocking how much the price of college has skyrocketed. It has skyrocketed. Okay, just for reference, my father, when he went to college, I think he said it was somewhere around $7,000 a year, and he was working full time in Minneapolis, working full time, and he could put that right towards his college tuition, and he paid that off, so he graduated debt free. But it was $7,000 a year. It was $14,000 a year when I went to the same private college for my undergrad, and I just told you my son's is $46,000 a year. So it has gone up astronomically. So most of these kids, I think they said the average student leaves college with about 26 grand in debt, but I'm hearing many people I know that graduate with their undergrad with 46 grand of debt or higher, 60 grand of debt, and they're saddled with this for the next, I don't know, the rest of their lives, making payments on this, and it may not even be a degree that they use. So we need to use some wisdom here before we tell them they have to do this, and then judge them so harshly if they're not able to graduate debt-free. Maybe you have $46,000 lying around. We didn't. And I know the comeback is, well, you should have had a college fund going the whole time. Yeah, we were busy surviving. Yeah, so most parents don't have that kind of money sitting around, and it ends up going into debt. My son, he had enough scholarships and grants to be able to go debt-free. That happened because we spent the last 2 years of his high school just applying for anything and everything we could find. He had to keep his grades up at all costs because we knew what he wanted to do. He wants to go into physics, and that's the way we did it. But we knew this is going to be incredibly costly, and we want to reduce the debt as much as possible. So let's talk about a few myths that we kind of bring, the baggage that we bring in here about colleges, college education, and you may be laboring under some of these myths. So I just want to talk about this for a second. Number one myth is that every child's best future is going to college, that college is best for every child. And you might say, oh, Trish, you're being such a hypocrite. You have a doctorate. You just dropped your own son off for his sophomore year. Whoa. I do not believe any longer that college is the best option for every person. And here's why. Our high school here does a fantastic job of trying to give all options to kids. and they will show them things they can do. You know, a lot of them in our area go into the military because you have free education. They get first pick of jobs. Another option that is really pushed is trade schools. Trade schools, you don't have anywhere near that horrendous amount of debt, and they walk away with something that is desperately needed. And most of these kids I see around here, once they graduate trade school, they make more than the people with college degrees. So you've got, when I talk trades, I'm talking about electricians, plumbers, welders. Many in my area become welders or car repair, and they go to the trade school, leave with no debt, and jump right into their trade and make an absolute ridiculous amount of money. And they cannot typically be outsourced, and they will always have a job, like a plumber. We're always going to need plumbers, and I thought this is really smart. This is really, really smart. The old school myth was that the really smart kids would go to college and they would have this degree and step out into this job and make so much more money than their peers that didn't go to college. That is in the past, my friends. That is in the past. Instead, the kids that go to college may be saddled with a ridiculous amount of debt that they struggle to pay back, and then not be able to find any job in the field that they had chosen, and end up getting a job that has nothing to do with their degree. That's just the reality. So I think you need to talk to your child and say, what are your interests? Would a trade school be best? Because it's not a failure. My daughter is, I'm biased, but she's so smart. She's scoring top of her class in math and everything else. She could get into many different colleges. She's a junior this year. She's been saying she's thinking of a trade school and becoming an electrician. It has nothing to do with her not being intelligent enough for college. She's simply saying that's a lot of debt, and I think I'd rather be an electrician and make really good money. I'm going to support her no matter what she decides. I want her to know what all her options are and know the dangers of getting that far in debt. So that's a big myth that we walk into. By the way, I don't know where we got this myth, because it's not in the Bible anywhere, but we just have this fixation that college is the only best destiny for every single person. Where did we get that? That seems to be a purely Western culture and more relatively recent thing. Is college great? Fantastic. I love my college experience. It is not always the best for every person, so we need to give them options. Secondly, we assume, wrongly, myth, that this decision should be made completely by this child who is, and I say child because typically they're making that decision even before they turn 18. And the thinking I've always heard is, well, we raised them well, now they pick a college, and they go to the college, and they've made their decisions, and they'll make lots of mistakes, and I'm out, wash my hands of it, boom. When they probably need a parent's input right now more than ever before. This is a huge decision, and to make this decision in a complete void and absence of a parental voice, as well as the voice of their church and their faith, no, I decided I'm going to have a voice here. We said to Logan and to Eliana, it is your choice. You will decide where you want to go. College, trade school, military. We will be there for you. But here's some things to think about. And we talked to them a lot about, where's that career going to be in 10 years? Do you have a backup plan? Think about the debt you're incurring, that kind of thing. But the other thing you've got to think about is, as I said, how many are losing their faith? Why is that? Well, that kind of comes into another myth. Maybe this is also from the past. It used to be in the past, you'd go to college and there were lots of different cultures, and you would experience all these different cultures, and your mind would be exposed to new things. I went to college in Minneapolis, downtown, in the middle of the inner city. I worked at Mall of America. I loved all the other experiences I got. I never felt at all pressured to go against my family's deeply held beliefs. My faith and my family have always been most important. That's what I was taught. That's what we taught my children. And I cannot even tell you how many of our Christian parents have said to me, we raised them right, we sent them to college, they completely fell away from their faith in the first semester, they seem to hate us, and our church and all of our traditions, and we don't know what to do. And then the church tends to blame the parents and say, well, you must have not done a good enough job raising them as Christians. And then the parents may point the finger right back at the church and say, you guys had hypocrites in your church. That's why they now have walked away from their faith. And everybody blames the youth pastor. But I think we need to also look at the part that college plays. Colleges are not the same as they used to be. Even when I went to my undergrad, oh my gosh, many, 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 many years ago. A lot of colleges, the very culture of the college is not neutral. I'm going to repeat that. The culture of the college is not neutral. And many times there is tremendous pressure, either spoken outwardly or implied, many times spoken outwardly, against Christian faith, against family. It is interwoven in the entire educational construct, in every single class. It is a part of the culture in the dorms. I mean, this is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, told to them by everyone they encounter over and over and over. It takes an incredibly strong person to resist that, and that's a lot to put on an 18-year-old. Their mind isn't even, they say the brain isn't completely developed yet at that point, but we picked an arbitrary number, 18. That's another myth, that they're a complete, total formed adult at 18. By the way, we just decided that. That has nothing to do with neuroscience. That has nothing to do with scripture. That has nothing to do with physiology. We just made up a random number and said, 18, you're an adult. And every culture has had its, rite of passage, something like that. One type of native First Nations Americans, they would take 12-year-olds out into the forest and leave them, and if they made their way back, then they were now an adult. In the Old Testament, a lot of times young men were considered adults at 15. In old American history, 16-year-olds were leading armies. So we pick random numbers and say, congrats, you're an adult now. Well, that's a lot of pressure. It's 17, you're a kid, and then there's a birthday and we go, now you're an adult, and then the parent backs off and says, I have no say anymore. We trained you, now go do this. And most adults would crack under the pressure that's at some colleges to conform, to give up their traditions and their faith, and there's so much peer pressure. I think that's why so many, they break and they walk away from their faith, and we wonder what happened. Well, we sent them into a gauntlet where it's getting crushed out of them, and think that they can handle that at 18. I think a lot of adult Christians would have trouble handling that, and after a while it would begin to break them down. So you have to ask yourself, what is the culture of the college that I'm sending my child to? And too many Christian parents say, oh, it's none of my business. None of my business. They want, they want a degree in nursing, so it doesn't matter what college I send them to. It matters. It matters. I did so much research online. I just decided I'm not going to have my son make this decision in a void. I'm going to at least say my piece. He wanted to go in physics. There were no colleges in our denomination that taught physics. So then do I throw up my hands and say it's hopeless? No, I decided to do some research, and my husband and I, we both laid out a ton of colleges. He brought us colleges he was interested in. Logan's very smart, and he said, I want to go to this one and this one and this one. And I said to him, these are the concerns that I have about the culture at such and such college, because this is some of the things they've stated. These are some of the things they put on their social media. This is some of the stats I'm seeing. And we just showed him that. And what I said to him was, here comes another myth. Parents believe that no matter how horrifying this college is, you have to pay for it. Why? Why? Why do you have to pay for it? That's what I want to know. I decided, I said, son, I'm not going to help you walk away from your family and your faith. If you do, that's your choice, and I'm always going to love you. But I won't help you do it. And so what I said was, son, we can't help you financially either way, but because I was filling out scholarship forms for him, I was filling out everything I could find for him. And he said, I want these few. And I said, this one here is so far away from everything our family believes. You can go there. That's your choice. And we'll always love you, but I don't have to help you. I don't have to help you go that route. And he said, nah, if they're that far off from what our family believes, I don't think I need that when I'm just trying to get an education. We said, you can do what you like. We can't stop you, but we don't have to help you. And we have done everything we can, moving him into his dorm, helping him get his books, all that kind of stuff. And his scholarships are what he's there on right now. But I wasn't going to let him make that decision in a void. And I'm being totally honest. If he said, I'm going to go to this other school, we would have supported him and loved him and moved him in and helped him get his books. But I wouldn't have helped him fill out the application paperwork. I would not have helped him file everything on time. He'd have had to do that on his own, because I'm not helping him go into the crushing gauntlet. He'll have enough pressure in life. Our kids have enough problems to deal with without that as well. So he's been very happy at his college that he's been at this last year and this year, and he feels like being there has deepened his faith, made him stronger in his faith, and we've had a lot of discussions about that. He's been exposed to a lot of different viewpoints and things that we don't agree with, and he's thought, okay, and had to make his own decisions. This is just an example. One of his professors is a Jesuit and is fine with drinking, and our denomination is very much against it, and he's weighing everything he's hearing, and whatever decision he makes. But there was no pressure in that class that you must conform or you're a bad person. He's hearing everybody's viewpoints and making that decision. I think there's not an arbitrary age where we parents can say, well, they're done. We back off and we learn to assist as we can, and we learn what they need us to do in that moment. But I think washing our hands of them the second they turn 18 and saying, well, have fun, when they are up against things in college that we never had. I never dealt with a lot of this. It's a time for a parent to speak up. So what can you do? What can you do? Well, number one, figure out whether or not your child should be going to college or trade school or the military or just going straight into their career. There's different things that are right for them, and you can speak into that and make sure they know it's their decision, but speak into that. 2, if they say, I want to go to college, I want to go, that was my son, I'm going to college, then you can ask them, go get a bunch of schools that you think would be great for this. Ask your teachers at school. His teachers at school were fantastic at getting names of colleges and universities that taught what he wanted to do. And then you, parents, should go research. You need to get on their social media. You need to find out, what is this school known for? Not what they were known for 20 years ago. What's going on right now? Why shouldn't you know? And then 4, you don't have to pay for anything. And if this is going against everything that your family believes, everything that you value, you may tell them, I love you, but this is something you're going to have to do. And offer your opinion on different things. Like, I can't make that decision for my son. And he's smart enough, he could go to pretty much anywhere and get enough scholarships to go. But I don't want to be silent about it if he is making a major mistake, because even a mistake can haunt you for years. So research. Find out if they even need to be going to a college, if it'd be better for them to do trade school, whatever. 3, go visit the college during college days. What do you see? You know, is this a good place where they'll get an education and what they need and not be crushed for who they are? Okay, find that out. All right, you know, go visit the college. We did that. We went and visited some colleges in person, and that really helped. It made it hard though, because there were a lot of really good schools, and we finally said, Logan, it's your choice. You decide, you know, what's going to be good. Pray about it. Pray. Are they going to make mistakes? Yes. Are they going to have tough times? Yes. Are people going to challenge their faith? Yes. So you never stop praying. You never stop being their parent. You never ever stop being their parent. So you pray and you keep being their parent, keep doing check-ins on their faith. It's so important. Am I perfect at this? No. But boy, have I learned a lot. I used to believe every kid needed to go to college. I used to believe colleges were just about education. No, it's a whole cultural thing. It is the entire culture of that school that matters, because whether you like it or not, when they graduate, they're probably going to fit the culture of that school, not your family. They're going to fit whatever the culture of that college is. And that could be really awesome, or that could be really scary, depending on what happens. I learned I have a lot more say than I thought I did, that I have more that I can do than I thought I did. I really thought it was well, you're 18, go to college, bye. No. I found I'm a lot more needed than I thought I was going to be, and I'm here to help him. So that's my story. I've learned so much in sending one off to college. I'm dreading when the other one goes in 2 years. Let me know what you think. I know I probably started a firestorm down below. She hates higher education. No, I don't. I love higher education. 2 of my books are textbooks at universities. I have a doctor. I love higher education. I no longer believe it is for every person. And I believe that parents should research and speak before just sending their child to any school. So put your questions and comments down below. I hope we can still be friends after what I said. But I love you guys. Thanks for watching. I will see you next week on the Peach Buzz. Bye-bye.